It's official. Crypto is maturing beyond pure hype and hopium. Nowadays, leading crypto projects are consistently bringing in millions in revenue every single month.
Every goddamn month!
So today, we're looking at 5 of the heaviest hitters by revenue across a load of sectors, from meme coin launchpads to lending protocols. We'll dive into how they work, why the money's flowing, and how all of this affects token prices if current trends hold. My name is Guy, and you're watching The Coin Bureau. First up, I must make one thing clear. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video should be considered financial advice. This is purely educational content meant to inform you about some of crypto's highest earning projects. If that sounds good, hit those like and subscribe buttons, smash that notification bell, and let's get into it. So, the first protocol we'll look at is Pump.fun, which we'll just call Pump going forward. Now, Pump is a meme coin launchpad that was set up in early 2024 by a semi-anonymous trio of founders, Alon Cohen, Noah Tweedale, and Dylan Curler. Of the 3, Cohen has taken the lead in representing the project publicly. Now, the founders built Pump with one clear mission: turn meme coin creation and trading into a frictionless experience. And sure enough, Pump kicked the meme coin market into overdrive. At its core, Pump is a launchpad that enables anyone to spin up a meme coin within minutes. And once a meme coin is created, it begins trading on a special pricing mechanism known as a bonding curve. Then, if it gathers enough traction, it migrates to Pump.swap, Pump's native DEX that launched back in March of this year. The platform takes a cut on that non-stop token creation and the trading activity on Pump.swap that follows. And that one-click UX plus instant liquidity has made Pump a huge success. In fact, since it went live, users have launched over 13 million meme coins. Now, a quick note on terminology before we continue. In crypto, fees are considered the total fees paid by a protocol's users, and revenue is the protocol's retained portion after it pays out other parties like liquidity providers. So, fees are a bit like a protocol's gross income, while revenue is like the protocol's net income. For Pump, fees and revenue used to be the exact same because Pump used to keep 100% of the fees. But recently, they began sharing a portion of trading fees with Pump.swap liquidity providers and meme coin creators using the launchpad. So, since then, there's a difference between fees and revenue. With that in mind, Pump's revenue continues to hit absolutely mind-blowing numbers. In August, the platform earned $46 million in revenue. And if we consider cumulative revenue since its launch, not even 2 years ago, that sits above $810 million. Crazy. And those numbers matter beyond bragging rights too. In mid-July, Pump introduced a very simple flywheel. Use platform revenue to buy back its native Pump token. At the time of shooting, Pump has bought back a whopping $100 million worth of Pump tokens and counting. And that structural bid has helped lift the token to new all-time highs, even as the rest of the market chopped sideways. And with the revenue numbers like they are, it's no wonder. On recent high-activity days, Pump's daily revenue has even outrun major powerhouses like Hyperliquid, a revenue-rich platform we'll touch on very soon. So, the key takeaway is that even a meme coin factory can out-earn some of crypto's most sophisticated trading stacks when conditions permit. On top of that, Pump recently went for a refreshed push into the creator economy, reviving its live streaming feature that encourages token launchers to work for their backs. These streams ran into controversy last year, so it remains to be seen how effective new monitoring systems will be, but activity certainly saw an uptick on the relaunch. Now, with that backdrop, the bull case for the Pump token is pretty simple, just like the platform. If Solana's meme theater can keep holding attention, then launches and trading activity stay strong, revenue stays high, and buybacks continue to support Pump's price. On the bear side, revenue is still far below its January 2025 peak. In August this year, monthly revenue for the entire Pump operation was $46 million, which is great, but that's about a third of its record month back in January. In fact, Pump launching the Pump Swap DEX was primarily a move to capture more meme coin trading revenue, specifically due to that drop-off in launch revenue from its peak. So, questions remain as to whether the trend here is actually down and the recent uptick is just a flash in the pan. Ultimately, without fresh capital, meme coin volume doesn't magically reinflate, and getting back to January 2025 levels probably needs another major liquidity wave. And there's also competitive pressure. With meme coins becoming so big, there's a new wave of Pump competitors looking to get a piece of the action. For now, though, Pump is number one in both market share and that juicy revenue. Now, the second cash flow rich protocol we'll be looking at today is Axiom. Axiom was founded by Henry Zhang and Preston Ellis, two UC San Diego computer science grads who took the idea through Y Combinator. Ultimately, they shipped a trading app designed for on-chain traders who live on the bleeding edge of crypto speculation. Launched in early 2025, Axiom is both one of crypto's fastest growing trading startups and one of crypto's fastest growing platforms. Axiom is an on-chain trading terminal where users can trade Solana meme coins, discover freshly minted tokens as soon as they launch, and even trade perpetual futures via a Hyperliquid integration. But Solana-based meme coin trading remains Axiom's bread and butter, and it brings in the big bucks. Users pay fees for using the platform, Axiom returns a cut to traders via rebates, more on that later, and what's left is net revenue for Axiom itself. And with meme coins being such a major feature of on-chain trading this cycle, it's no wonder that Axiom's revenue story is grabbing headlines. Axiom blasted through $100 million in revenue within 4 months of launch, which is crazy for any startup, let alone a crypto one. In August alone, the platform brought in over $31 million in net revenue. That is an impressive monthly haul, especially considering we're a far cry from the peak meme coin mania that we saw back in January. And Axiom's positioning in the market is ideal for revenue capture, as it covers the two main drivers behind on-chain trading volume, meme coins and perps. And then it bundles them into a single, fast and intuitive UI. As long as traders continue to speculate on-chain, that design compounds. On the other hand, though, the main risk, similar to Pump, is a major drop in meme coin market activity. That has happened before, and it will happen again, as sharp swings are a feature of the sector. But for now, Axiom's revenue speaks for itself. And, as you may have noticed, there is one giant kicker here. Axiom doesn't have a token. But if they ever do launch a token and route a share of revenue into buybacks or some other mechanism for token value accrual, the setup is textbook reflexivity. Cash flow becomes a bullish narrative for the token, and the terminal's activity turns into mechanical demand for the asset. So, Axiom is looking very strong, and that's exactly why now is a great time to get set up if you're at all inclined to do any on-chain trading. And if you want to get started, then be sure to use the link in the description below, because using that sign-up link will give you 10% cash back for life, as well as a 2x points multiplier, which will presumably help you get more of any potential upcoming Axiom airdrop. Okay, we've teased this third one enough. The next highly profitable protocol we're looking at today is none other than Hyperliquid. Kickstarted by Jeff Yan, Hyperliquid's core team is intentionally tiny, reportedly about 11 people. And yet, they've scaled a self-funded DEX to hundreds of billions in monthly trading volume. One distinguishing feature of Hyperliquid is that it's not an app built on another chain, it's actually its own L1. Hyperliquid's core dApp is its DEX that runs a full on-chain order book for perps and spot. And in addition to that, there's also HyperEVM, which lets apps build additional dApps in the Hyperliquid ecosystem and plug directly into that powerful DEX. That split design is largely why it has sex-like speed without giving up custody, and why wallets, vaults, and strategy apps are now building around it. And sure enough, with all that activity comes a boatload of revenue. Now, as far as any distinction between fees and revenue goes, almost all fees Hyperliquid earns equate to revenue, although there are rebates in place similar to Axiom. But the revenue story is simple. Hyperliquid just posted a record month of $110 million in revenue for August. That's up about 23% from July's tally, numbers that would make a mid-tier centralized exchange blush. And that revenue overwhelmingly stemmed from Hyperliquid's perps volume, which has been absolutely insane, hitting a record of just under $400 billion for August alone. And what's more, this has big implications for the Hype coin. 99% of Hyperliquid fees are routed to an on-chain assistance fund that market buys Hype. Now, the fund is a form of treasury or backstop. It functions as a safety net for the ecosystem with capital that can be deployed in black swan events if needed. But day to day, those buybacks act as constant bid pressure. More trading, more fees, more buybacks, less circulating Hype. You don't need a spreadsheet to understand that loop. You can see it in Hype's price action. As Hyperliquid volumes have ripped, so has Hype's price, with media coverage explicitly tying the rally to buybacks funded by record revenue, adding fuel to the narrative. So the maths is tough to argue with. If Hyperliquid keeps winning market share for perps trading, net revenue grows and the buyback motor keeps chewing through supply. If the team continues to ship while third-party apps pile into Hyper EVM, you get more opportunities for the ecosystem to grow further. Another tailwind for volumes and revenue. And yes, all of this spells buy pressure for the Hype coin. But sustained revenue and dominance in on-chain perps is hard. Competitors are always going after market share, like Binance-associated Asta is right now, and leverage cycles can turn overnight. Add scheduled Hype unlocks and critiques of the protocol's decentralization, and you've got real risks to watch alongside that monster cash flow. Similar to Pump and Axiom, a lull in market volatility or a rotation to other venues would cool volumes, thin revenue, and shrink the buyback bid. And, as mentioned, the assistance fund is literally designed to sell Hype coins if things really get messy due to any black swan event. An unlikely event, sure, but it would be a pretty nasty development for Hype's price. But if the next few quarters look anything like this summer, things are looking bright. And if the market takes another leg up at this juncture, the reflexivity writes itself. Either way though, Hyperliquid is one of the clearest revenue stories in crypto right now. And full disclosure, I hold Hype as part of my personal portfolio. Now, the fourth protocol on our list is something a bit different, Ethena. This was founded by Guy Young, who set out with his team to build a synthetic dollar that could stand on its own cash flows rather than faith alone. Young has been Ethena's public face, defending the model in interviews and explaining how the system is designed to survive volatility that wrecked stablecoin experiments of the past. Mechanically, Ethena's synthetic dollar, USDE, is minted against crypto collateral like BTC and ETH, and then hedged with matching short positions. That creates a so-called delta-neutral basis trade that skims yield from funding rates on futures contracts. The design is old-school finance with a modern on-chain twist. Long spot, short perps, collect the spread, repeat. Unsurprisingly, this model scales with market activity. When crypto gets lively, funding rates rise higher and the amount Ethena's system can earn rises as well. Unsurprisingly, that flow has been reflected in the numbers recently. Now, for Ethena, these numbers show up in fees generated. That's because the fees generated largely act as revenue passed through to users as yield, and the remainder accrues to the Ethena protocol itself. For August, Ethena generated $54 million in fees, plenty of yield rewards for Ethena users such as USDE stakers. After that was paid out, Ethena still managed to net a tidy $4 million in revenue. So keep in mind that this big gap between fees and revenue is by design because the protocol is set up to directly funnel value to participants in the Ethena ecosystem. But there's an exciting twist to this story, a so-called fee switch. With USDE now listed on Binance, Ethena says it has satisfied the last requirement to route a slice of protocol revenue to staked ENA, the protocol's native token. That opens a pipeline from revenue to token holders. That is bullish news for ENA, and it undoubtedly makes Ethena even more community aligned. Beyond that, Ethena also benefits from similar tailwinds to the other venues we've looked at today: volatility and risk appetite. Over the summer, rising funding rates and fresh deposits pushed flows higher, and ENA rallied as a result. If that regime persists, USDE supply and protocol revenue should scale, and any active fee share would make staked ENA a straightforward yield asset on top. But you still have to respect the cycle. When funding goes flat or negative, Ethena's model compresses or even becomes unfeasible, a weakness in the design. However, USDE navigated a rough patch last year when there was big volatility and frequent dips into negative funding, and it managed it all without breaking its $1 peg. Nevertheless, if we hit an extended risk-off period, expect revenue to cool just as quickly as it heated up. So, Ethena and USDE are an innovative crypto product that is a serious cash machine when crypto is humming along as it is now. If the market turns sleepy and funding dries up, growth falls and yield falls with it. Either way, though, the model is transparent enough for investors to track in real time, and it makes potential portfolio allocations much more straightforward. And I'll add that I also hold ENA in my portfolio, just so you know. So that leads us to the final revenue-rich protocol on today's list, Aave. Aave was founded by Stani Kolechov, and the developer-turned-entrepreneur has led an ever-expanding team to build Aave into a blue-chip money market that sits at the heart of DeFi. At the product level, it's simple. Deposit collateral, borrow against it, pay interest. To keep things running smoothly, loans are over-collateralized. That means you can only borrow a fraction of what your crypto is worth, and that helps minimize any risk of liquidation. That machine runs across multiple pools and blockchain networks, and collectively it boasts a massive $40 billion in total value locked. But where does Aave's revenue come from? Well, similar to Ethena, Aave sees a majority of fees generated go directly to the protocol participants that deserve them. Simply put, Aave's fees mostly equal the interest borrowers pay to lenders or liquidity providers. The protocol's revenue is the slice it retains for facilitating this, plus things like flash loans and liquidation fees. So, just like Ethena, fees dwarf revenue here, but that is by design, and lenders receiving those interest payments could certainly consider those payments as revenue. And in any case, the final cut that Aave does receive is nothing to sneeze at either. Last August alone, the protocol generated $94 million in fees and saw a sizable $13 million in revenue. That's all while those interest payments made their way to lenders in an automated and seamless manner, exactly the vision crypto pioneers had for smart contracts and blockchain networks. Now, similarly to other projects on today's list, the token angle sharpened this year. In April, the Aave community approved buybacks as part of a tokenomics overhaul, greenlighting the DAO to purchase Aave on the open market. To date, the program has accumulated 0.5% of total Aave supply, worth about $25 million at the time of making this video. Now, there is more in store for a revamp of Aave's tokenomics in the coming months, which we won't dive into today, but the trend is clear. More value will accrue to token holders. And of course, that's good news for the Aave token itself. So, Aave is growing and the Aave token is aligned with that growth. But what moves it from here? Well, above all else, if crypto's bull market continues and borrowing remains elevated, which it tends to in bullish conditions, then Aave's bottom line remains juicy and buybacks have real fuel. Sprinkle in some tokenomics tweaks that funnel more value to Aave holders, and things look very good for the protocol's token. But if we get bearish or choppy conditions, that story obviously gets flipped. Lower risk appetites, softer demand, lower rates and fewer liquidations all mean lower protocol revenue. Either way though, Aave's model is another transparent one that we can track in real time. So that's really all there is to it. And well folks, those are 5 of the major revenue generating protocols in crypto. But did we exclude one of your favorites? Let us know down in the comments if we did, and we might cover it in a future video. But for now, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and smash that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. And if you want to learn about which Ethereum altcoins we're bullish on, then you can watch our video on that right over here. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon. This is Guy, over and out.